Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have some pretty interesting news to go over today. A couple of big things to talk about. We are going to talk about this week's sneak peek that has not so much the sneak peek itself. We will go over that a little bit, but more so some of the implications that it could be having on the medical gameplay upcoming in the very near future. So we're going to go over that a little bit, talk about a couple of ideas I have, some theories of maybe what could be happening. And then we also had finally the tech preview for Evocati today, or when you're seeing this, it'll be yesterday. And that has some interesting stuff in it as well. We do have some kind of leaks and stuff from it that we are going to go over. We have the patch notes of what specifically was supposed to be part of this, but there was some additional stuff that was found. And some of it's pretty interesting. So we're going to go over all of that and more. So if you want to see some of the latest news for Star Citizen, then sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. All right, so like I said, first we're going to go over the most recent sneak peek. The quote for this sneak peek was, "I need to recharge." So this is a pretty interesting little hint at what's coming up. So what I can immediately say is there is, one of the first things I noticed is under the little kind of screen on this, I don't know, station thing that we're looking at. There it does say Brentworth Care Center, which is, I believe, the name of the Microtech Hospital. Or, there's it's basically it's points out right away that this is something medical related. We can also see on the left front side of this little thing here, where there's some different lights. Looks like up to 9, and it says recharge status by it. So some of the lights are green, some are red, and then one is off. I assume that's because there's something not in there. And then down at the bottom of the image, which is probably the most interesting thing, we can see what I first thought was just some holders for what looked like key cards. That's what I thought at first. But after looking at it more and thinking about it more, I think this is just a handle that's on the end of this green sort of rectangular-ish canister. And I am pretty sure what this is in a lot of med beds on medical ships like the Medical Pisces, Medical Terrapin, all sorts of those things, there are a little, beneath the medical console for it, there's a little cupboard that you can open up generally, and there's two little slots that kind of are long and rectangular that look like you would insert something in there. And I'm pretty sure what these little green canisters are is a resource that you would put into those slots. So I think this sneak peek is hinting at there being some very significant changes coming very soon to medical gameplay and respawning. So I was thinking about it, and I was trying to figure out, what sort of changes could they be doing for medical gameplay? Now, the obvious thing is if you have to have these new whatever you call them, gel capsules that are kind of a resource that feeds the medical beds, I would assume that's used to then respawn you. So then I was thinking, maybe tier 3, because I'd heard some rumors that people were worried that maybe tier 3 beds wouldn't be able to respawn anymore. I think it's a possibility, but with the vehicles that we have that have tier 3 med beds having that little slot for this medical capsule thing, part of me wonders if maybe a tier 3 med bed takes maybe more, uses up more material per respawn of someone, so you go through it faster, but you can still respawn using it. Whereas if you were on a tier 2 medical bed or a tier 1 bed, your usage of that medical resource would be more efficient, so you'd get more respawns out of it. That's a potential use case, I think, or but something potentially that could happen with this. But the big thing is, it looks like they're going to be introducing this resource that's going to do something that will change either how we respawn, or maybe there'll be I don't know, maybe they'll add a cooldown for how often you can respawn, but it still uses this resource. It's interesting that you recharge these capsules. I would think maybe it would be kind of a disposable thing like the med gun refills that you have. You just put another one of those in when you run out of the med gun juice in that. but these need to be recharged. So then it's a question of, do you need to get some other resources and deposit those somewhere to then be used in this machine to recharge the medical goo capsule things? I don't know. So we'll have to see, but it's very, very interesting. So I'm excited to see what changes they make, excited to see what we see with the Apollo coming out next month. I think that's definitely a big reason that they're making these changes. Of course, we need more medical updates as well to make it more of a game loop and more in depth than it is. It's not super complicated right now, and there's probably some things they want to change about it. So make sure to let me know down in the comments what do you think about the sneak peek? What do you think they're planning to do with this? Is it going to be some resource? Do you have to find it? Can you buy it? How do you think they're going to use it or implement it? I'd love to hear anything you think down in the comments below. Okie dokie. So next we're going to go over a bunch of stuff that is tech preview related. So first we're going to go through the official, like the patch notes that they had for Evocati for what changes there are in the build. And then we do have some information from what some players found in the build. There's a couple of like screenshots of some new things that are in there that we'll talk about a little bit. And there's a couple of interesting things that they don't mention in the patch notes that there appear to be kind of a work in progress, but some nice changes to see. So let's go ahead and let's go through the patch notes for this tech preview build. First, what we have to go over is Vulkan improvements integration. So they say that this update brings the Vulkan improvements done in Squadron 42 into the Star Citizen builds. Graphics and engine optimizations from Squadron 42. They said the game should just be more performant in certain situations. Keep an eye out for performance comparisons to the current 4.2.1 live. I guess that would be 4.3 live at this point. I haven't heard anything specifically on that. I don't know what they mean by certain situations, if it's like in the cities or out in the middle of nowhere. So we'll have to see if there's some other information that comes out about that. So that was the main changes for Vulkan. I did see, like, we'll talk about it a little bit later when we go through some of the screenshots. It did seem like there is at least an option in like if you have the R display info little thing up in the top right corner, there's a line there that says like GI off with global illumination. So it seems like there is kind of the framework to have ray trace global illumination turned on. I don't believe it's in this this tech preview, but it is there. As we know that's going to be in Squadron, and we'll be moving over to Star Citizen at some point. I think there's some additional stuff they had to do for it to get that working for it, but that's the main Vulkan stuff. Now let's talk about the AI behavior changes. So we probably won't go through all of this. This is a little bit longer section of the patch notes, but basically these AI behavior improvements, I'm pretty sure these are also being kind of moved over from Squadron work. They said that there's now a more consistent and complete first reaction implementation. So that would be how AI would first respond to information like vision, hearing, radar, other events, things like that, maybe in like an explosion or something. And then depending on the time and event strength, depending on how far away it is, like something, if the AI hears it or whatever, they have a perception meter, and that determines when the AI will perform different levels of perception behavior. They'll start by turning their head, then they turn their body, and so on and so on. Then they go up to look at it, check it out, and then maybe go into combat if they find you or whatnot. That's all supported by new animations to show a different silhouette when switching between the behaviors whilst remaining responsive to the actions of the player. I think that'll be cool to see. The AI have definitely gotten at least more reactive, and I feel like they do move around a lot more fluidly, and it looks better. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes these implementations make. They also said that they added some different features that allow designers to add in different awareness levels, such as an AI radioing for backup before going into combat. There's different tactics and stuff that they've added in for different, I guess, maybe archetypes you could consider it, for like defenders and strafer and pusher, just like behavior overhauls. They've added improvements for using cover. That includes switching the body direction and different animations for this as well. So just, again, continual updates for all the stuff that we already have. The AI currently do sometimes take cover, and they will kind of duck around it and peek around it and shoot at you. So that does work pretty well, but there's probably, again, a lot of improvements they want to make to it. And then finally, a large part of combat tactic work has been adjusting their tactical position queries that's used to determine what cover and non-cover positions to use across different tactics. So there's a better understanding of that now, and that should help improve the AI behavior even more. And then finally, for the improvements for AI, there have been changes to ammo management, such as choosing when to move to cover to reload or to pick up ammo from ammo crates, which would be interesting. I've never seen AI looting ammo crates, but that could be something that's coming in. And as well as like switching to sidearms when moving and etc. Grenade throwing to draw out a target. That works more consistently. So that should be good. The AI are actually pretty good with throwing grenades now, especially if you have a couple of them throwing them at you. It gets a little dicey sometimes. So that'll be good to see what changes are there. And then there's some new medical behavior. So it looks like they've polished up some animations for medical work that works more consistently from reviving and healing and whatnot. The AI, as far as I know, can technically revive their teammates. I feel like I have seen it a couple times, but not that often. So that'll be cool to see. And then finally, some more weapon improvements. So mostly support for different firing modes that allow the AI to use weapons like the Volt weapons that can overheat, or they have like a charge function or things like that. So just continually adding in more support for that. There are a lot of AI that use the Volt weapons in the Onyx facility, but how their kind of firing pattern is still very similar to like a traditional ballistic weapon. So there might be some changes to that and how they utilize that. But that is basically everything that's on the patch notes. So now we can go ahead and go through some of the, I guess you can call them kind of leaks, some screenshots of some different changes and stuff in the tech preview, and a couple of other interesting little things. All right, so first thing we have to go over in regards of leaks is some screenshots from kind of the graphic settings of the game. There's a bunch of new graphic options in the tech preview, so I'll try and show them up here for you. So there's some new updates for the upscaling technique. You can see up at the top there it says DLSS/DLAA, which is new. There's looks like a little slider to choose which I think type or model of DLSS you're using. So that should, in theory, give us native support for DLSS 4, which typically has quite a bit better look to it and gives much better performance. So I'm excited for that. Some of the stuff is kind of placeholder names. You can see object detail, object view distance, texture quality. I think pretty much all those are new options. I think we have some more basic options at the moment. So increasing that. There's texture filtering shadows, screen space shadows, and all that sort of good stuff. Then we have another image here. We have planet volumetric clouds, fog, water stuff, shading stuff, and whatnot. So there's quite a few new graphics options to play around with on there. Again, a lot of new stuff coming online because of the updates for Vulkan. Switching over to that renderer probably just gives them more options for different ways you can tweak how your game looks, so you can make it how you like. So some pretty cool stuff there. Now, some more interesting things to note. Apparently, in the first-person view, the emissions radar is spotted. So that is kind of like it gives you some indicators at the top of your screen for like your cross-section emissions and I think your EM and IR. This is meant to be a way so you can kind of tell how stealthy you are or not stealthy you are once we have FPS scanning and radar. So it looks like those markers have been put in at the top of the screen, so you can see that. So we might see FPS scanning and radar sooner than we think. They might be prepping some stuff for that initially, so that's really cool. Another pretty big thing is apparently characters look markedly better. They specify a night and day difference. Texture resolutions have possibly improved, and it did sound like some customization was lost for some reason, so you might have to do your preset for your character. And there's also a very subtle blur at the edges of the screen with a helmet on. So if characters look markedly better, I'm all for it. If texture resolution is improved, I'm all for it. Anything that makes the game just look nicer. I'm sure that's thanks to some of the improvements coming over from work on Squadron. So some very, very cool things coming down the line. And then here, as you should be seeing, they also mention in the display info, there's a new line there that says GI off, so global illumination off, but then it says reflections half res hardware tracing. So I don't know if that means there's technically ray tracing going on in this, if that was happening in this tech preview. I'm not entirely sure. But again, new options being added for that, support for that, that's supposed to be coming online at some point. It's in Squadron. Will be making its way to Star Citizen soon. And then the last big thing from the tech preview that I've seen is helmets. At least some helmets appear to be physicalized now. So they're not, like when you hold them in your hand, they're not a box. They're not in a box anymore. Apparently they're not, I do have a picture here of from the leaks as well. Not your character's not quite holding the helmet right, but it is there physically in your hand, which is very, very cool. There's also another picture that I'll show here from you can hang your helmet from your belt. At the moment, it doesn't. It just kind of poofs away, and you have to remember the keybind to put it back on. But here you can see it looks like that is now physicalized, and your helmet kind of sits on your back left, the back left side of you. So pretty cool there. Again, it sounds like there's some animation work for putting it back on the head and whatnot that needs some polishing and whatnot, but it's there. So that could be something else that they're bringing in relatively soon. More physicalization of the armor and stuff. I'd love to see more of that, so then we can maybe use suit lockers and all that sort of good stuff. So some really interesting leaks coming out of the tech preview, and I'm sure we'll be getting more patches for it. Maybe they'll do another one in the upcoming week. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll get some additional stuff added. But that is the majority of the stuff that was revealed from today's tech preview. But that is everything we had to go over today in regards to Star Citizen news. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to leave a like on it, as it really helps the channel. And if you want to see more Star Citizen news and breakdowns of things, then make sure to subscribe as well. We're getting close to 10,000 subscribers, and I can't believe that it's been like this. Just started the channel a few months ago, wanted to make videos on the game that I love, and all of you showed that you love it too. So I'm very grateful for that. Looking forward to continuing to cover stuff as we get closer to CitizenCon and IAE coming up in very, very near future. Excited for next week. We should be getting a Squadron 42 newsletter, possibly, again, more tech previews, more information on the next patch. So we'll see what ends up happening. But again, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like. Make sure to drop any thoughts you have on anything we talked about down in the comments below. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the verse.